Hey folks, Andrew Packer here, and welcome to Trading Tips. There's been a trend going on this year that a lot of folks have been kind of interested in, and it's the trend of celebrities getting involved in companies. So let's unpack that in today's video and see what's going on there. So there's been a lot of news lately about some of these big name celebrities who are taking an active interest in corporate America. And it seems like it's either a good fit or a bad fit, or at the very least something that doesn't always gel well between financial news and celebrity news. So let's start with Papa John's, which earlier this year brought Shaquille O'Neal on board its board of directors. Shaq invested heavily in the company, and let's face it, while a lot of people know him as a basketball star, what you might not necessarily know about Shaq is that he's earned his MBA after his career in the NBA, and that he also owns a number of franchises, such as Five Guys burger chains. He owns some dry cleaners, some businesses of that nature. So he actually has a fair amount of business experience. And like many successful celebrities and former athletes who have managed to continue growing their wealth after their retirement from their time in sports, he's actually done very well for himself with an estimated net worth of over $400 million. You might be able to get some of that level of money playing basketball today, but back in the day when Shaq was playing, the salaries were only just starting to really explode higher. So his involvement in Papa John's is a pretty interesting combination of skills and talents, especially because Papa John's faced a little bit of criticism earlier this year when its founder on a conference call made some comments that were racially charged, and the board of directors kicked him off. So it's a good fit, for the culture that the company wants to build, and it's a good fit for someone who's been investing in companies like Five Guys Burgers or other fast food type things. So there's a pretty good, interesting development and dynamic there. So if you're looking at somebody who say, oh, this is just somebody who just does sports, why is he suddenly getting involved in a fast food company? Well, you could do a little digging and look at do some of the homework there and see what's going on with that. Now, the fact of the matter is, this isn't a new trend at all. If you look historically at some of the other companies that have existed over time, you've had a number of celebrities that have been on the boards in one way or another. At one point, 20th Century Fox, the film company, had Grace Kelly on its board of directors. Obviously somebody who knows that business pretty well inside and out, and later as Princess Grace of Monaco, also had access to a lot of wealth and understood the importance of generating wealth and building wealth over time. And of course, some other folks involved in the industry. Cary Grant, the dapper and gentleman's gentleman kind of look, was on the board of directors of Fabergé, which was a maker of fine jewelry. So I mean, this is something that's not necessarily contemporary. There's been a long history of celebrity involvement with publicly traded and non-publicly traded companies. And this also brings us to Canopy Growth, one of the marijuana companies of today. Just reported some poor earnings numbers. They've been struggling a little bit with the industry as it continues to evolve, and as there's kind of a lot of capital flowing in and out on all of the latest news in the marijuana space. But they picked up a pretty interesting character, Drake, the rap star, and his net worth is actually $150 million. And let's face it, a lot of celebrities might just make a few $1,000,000 doing some projects here and there and sort of eke along and have a pretty good existence relative to even the rest of us. But when you're getting into this territory where you're getting into the, centimillionaire level of wealth, and, there are a few celebrities that are even approaching billionaire status, you've got people who have a little bit of a mind for business and who have a good idea of what is needed to really take things to the next level. So looking at these factors, it seems that celebrities can often have a pretty good fit. Now, of course, there are times where celebrities might not necessarily have a good fit. For example, if a former member of the military, a high-ranking general or admiral or the like, joins a defense company, that makes sense. That's a good fit based on their skill set from their prior career. If they're joining the board of a technology company, that may or may not be a good fit depending on what level of exposure they had to technology during their prior career. If they're getting into some kind of consumer goods company, that might not be a good fit as well. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at the board of directors of a lot of publicly traded companies, you'll see a fair number of celebrity names popping up from time to time, besides these big examples that we're seeing today with Shaq and Drake. So looking at these factors, there's of course, one more pretty interesting name out there, Oprah Winfrey. A few years back, she took a huge stake in Weight Watchers. The shares had a huge move up as a result of her getting on board. Everyone thought it was going to be a great dynamic. She was going to be the celebrity spokesperson. She was going to be out there showing the product off, doing all these great things for the company. But Oprah's busy. She does a lot of different projects. She's involved in all sorts of things. And the fact of the matter is she wasn't attending regular board meetings. She would just call in. Most companies, if you attend board meetings versus calling in, there's a difference in how much you'll be paid as a member of the board for physically showing up to a meeting versus calling in, or maybe not even showing up at all. So it can really depend on a lot of factors. The level of celebrity involvement can make or break a difference in how well a company performs. So we've seen a lot of variation in the price of Weight Watchers depending on how involved or uninvolved it seems that Oprah's been, as well as the company's operating performance. So to some extent, there is a little bit of this celebrity back and forth where their involvement can certainly impact the share price of a company in a good way or a bad way. Every situation is a little bit different, but when you look at the background of some of the very successful celebrities are bringing to the table, usually I would argue that they're bringing more value than they aren't. So keep an eye out for these news stories, and if there's a celebrity that maybe you're not too familiar with outside of certain projects that they've done in their career as celebrities, see what other investments they've been doing, see what other businesses they've been doing, what ideas they have, what they can bring to the table, because the fact of the matter is, a company that brings in a celebrity is going to be getting a dynamic person who's wealthy enough that they don't need the money, but they could have a vested interest in seeing the company do even better in the future. So overall, I would argue, most of the time it's going to be a good factor to look for as an investment. So if you look at Papa John's with Shaq's investment, if you look at Canopy Growth with Drake's investment and involvement with the company, these are companies that could do a little better than people are expecting as a result in the months and years ahead. All right, that'll wrap things up for this edition of Trading Tips. Until next time, I'm Andrew Packer, wishing you good trading and good financial health.